HTLA Radio 1 in New York City proudly presents Crash Talk.
Presents rock superstar Crash Jesus.
That's right. Thank you very much. Good night.
No, I'm just kidding. Yes, the rock superstar Crash Jesus coming at you live right there. Good morning, good afternoon, or whatever it may be to you. You are tuned to HTLA Radio 1 New York and another slammin' edition of Crash Talk. That's right. Anybody? No? Kids? All right. Okay. Good to know I haven't lost the touch with the kids there. Huh? That was funny. There we go. All right. So yeah, today's Crash Talk is entitled Safe from Terror. Yes, you all may remember 9/11, 2001. You might. Pretty close to 3,800 Americans died that day. Well, not just Americans, other people too. But a heck of a lot of people died, close to 4,000. And then subsequently after that, more closer to 5,200 in one single day, on a apparent terrorist attack on the United States from, apparently, Al-Qaeda. Now, I've heard a lot about this Al-Qaeda guy. Actually, I looked around for him in a couple places. There were some pool rooms up in Pennsylvania I checked out. They seemed to be pretty sufficient leads, but I didn't find anything. And it's no surprise because, of course, you know, the American government, the NSA, the CIA, the FBI, all those guys, well, they didn't find anything either. No, they blamed it on a guy who was in Afghanistan working for them. But short of that, that's about all they had. There were a lot of rumors and speculation, of course, during the confusion of it all in that first 2, 3, 4, 5 days, 7 years, where they were implying that there was Canadian terrorist pilots. Yes, those they came in from Canada. Yeah, you got to watch those Canadians, I'm telling you. Anyway, my show today is pretty much a retrospective, looking back across those 13 years and kind of asking that question. How are we doing now? What's the situation? There's got to be a situation. What is it? Are we safe from terrorism? Is it more prevalent than ever before? Are we all going to die tomorrow? I think those are the three key issues, I'm really going to look at on our show here today. So, I hope you will all bear with me and join with me in the awesomeness that is Crash Talk, and hopefully if I can shed some light on some things, that'll be a job well done. And if not, at least my attempt at entertaining you throughout this terrible, terrible subject matter could prove effective. There, that's my hope. That's what I'm looking at. So, I would like to talk about a potential terror attack that happened in New York City just 2 days ago, on Sunday. Yes. Did you hear about this? Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. I'm waiting. Actually, I'm smoking, but I'm waiting. Somebody call in and tell me, hey, yeah, I heard about that. No, you probably didn't. In fact, if you weren't really in the greater New York area, tri-state area, you probably didn't hear too much about it. If you're like me and you like to go around to all the news wires and feeds and RSSs and websites and skim through all their back pages, you may have come across it. Yes, apparently a New York train crashed. The engineer, who was in charge of the train, told the cops that he zoned out. Quote, end quote. Yes, he zoned out. So you're saying, it's a perfectly logical explanation to have zoned out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got a couple of problems with this story, and I'll tell you why and how it fits into my whole show today. The engineer of the Metro North commuter train that derailed in the Bronx on Sunday told police that he may have zoned out before taking a curve at almost 3 times the speed limit. Sources close to the investigation told NBC News. The possibility that William Rockefeller dozed off before the deadly crash has not been ruled out. No, because he's clearly 375 pounds, been a 20-year union man, probably gets quite loaded after work, because God knows I would after doing a job like that all day. And, he just zoned out. Okay, it can happen, sure. The investigators are still trying to determine if any equipment failed. Because you wouldn't want to blame the fat guy falling asleep at the wheel. No, let's look at the equipment. After years of working a shift that started in the afternoon, Rockefeller recently switched to a new schedule, starting at 5 a.m. just 2 weeks earlier. The investigators will try to determine if a change in his body clock was a factor. Now isn't that good? Your Honor, my client is not guilty of the multiple homicide because his body clock was a factor, sir. Your Honor. Yeah. Really? Have we gone that far now in the lovely world of political correctness? Have we actually gone that far to actually allow a potential defense for multiple deaths? Not negligence. No. It was his body clock. Yes. So we'll lock up the body clock for 25 years to life. And right. Okay. All right. So I'm not the only one with the same issue here. All right. Well, I'll continue. Rockefeller, a 20-year veteran with impeccable record, plans to speak with the National Transportation Safety Board. He plans to speak with them. Not like they're going to hold him in custody and make him speak to them. No. No, he plans to come on down tomorrow afternoon sometime after 3 when he gets up and pop into the NTSB and just say hey to all the guys and girls, huh? Right. So he's going to plan to speak with them Tuesday or Wednesday. No rush. There's just 4 people dead, a whole bunch more injured, and a hell of a lot of money down the drain in equipment and subway cars and tracks and rails and, stuff that was all around the crash site. Yeah. His union representative will be present at those niceties. The little visit, we'll call it. His union representative also says, quote, "He's not a guy who runs away," says Anthony Buttalico, head of the Association of Commuter Rail Employees, Local Number 1. Damn! Local 1? Well, geez, that's the union that started it all, Local 1. Look at that. I know, I'm getting sidetracked here, but there's a whole bunch of this stuff that really pisses me off. So the lovely Anthony Buttalico there, the union rep from Local 1, says that Billy is extremely distraught over the loss of life. He's very traumatized, and he's trying to put it all together. Buttalico said that he could not comment on whether Rockefeller might have caused the accident, which killed 4 people and injured dozens more, before the engineer talks to federal investigators. Yeah. The engineer, who suffered minor injuries himself, has spoken to police and told them he got, quote, white line fever, end quote. Apparently, according to NBC, a term that truckers use to describe being hypnotized by the road on a long trip, one source said. Really? Because my memories in the 70s of 80s and 80s there of white line fever with the truckers was cocaine. Cocaine. But, of course, that wouldn't be the case in this particular case, because if the lovely man here had actually been on cocaine, there wouldn't have been an issue. Oh. There are no indications that he was texting or talking on the phone or engaged in... Yes, don't text and drive a subway. Yeah, don't do that. The authorities have his phone and are examining it and waiting for the results of a drug and alcohol test. The NTSB said late Monday that it is not determined if human error or a mechanical problem or a combination of the two was to blame for the derailment. Yeah. In the Bronx. Black box data recorders recovered from the wreckage showed 7-car train was traveling at 82 miles an hour. First in a 70-mile-an-hour zone, and then it entered a curve at a 30-mile-an-hour zone speed limit. The throttle was engaged fully until 6 seconds before the locomotive came to a stop on its side, and the brakes were fully applied only 5 seconds before. Well, if he's zoning out and sleeping, how's he applying brakes? Okay, let's remember these details. Yeah. Now, we've got a guy from the NTSB now here, Earl Weiner. Because I always like, credible people heading up the NTSB. So, I'm going to pick a guy like Earl Weiner because, well, he might be a bit of a dink. He does take his job seriously. Oh, no. Well, he said it was unclear if Rockefeller hit the brakes early or they failed. He simply tried to slow down or stop too late. Yeah, full throttle into the curb 3 times the speed limit. Yeah, I'd say that's failing to stop too late. The question was the human error faulty, or was it human error or faulty equipment? And the answer at this point in time, we can't tell, Weiner said. Dick. Weiner said investigators had not found any anomalies with the brakes, and Senator Charles Schumer, a Democrat from New York, noted that the train made 9 stops between Poughkeepsie and the crash site. So clearly the brakes were working a very short time before it came to this curve, he said. When I heard about the speed, I gulped, Schumer added. It kind of takes your breath away. Yes, because what asshole in his right mind is going to be beaming off a 30-mile-an-hour bend with 7 subway cars full of people at 3 times the speed limit? See how the zoning out thing just doesn't seem to add up here, gang? No, it doesn't. But then it raises a bunch more questions. And there is more to this story, but the details are really kind of not really anything to do with anything. They repeat, talking about safety enhancements they've recently made and all that kind of thing. But here's the question that glowingly came to my mind reading this story yesterday. The question, of course, was, is he a terrorist? Now, you might be sitting there thinking, wow, dude, what is your problem? This guy is like fat, white, Italian New Yorker. He's from the Bronx. What do you mean terrorist? You probably couldn't be farther from the truth. Well, you know what? On the surface, you're absolutely 100% right. No relation to any Islamic terror cell. He's not working for the Syrians, no. Or is he? In our economy being sucked down the drain so much, and with the haves having way too much, in fact, 10 times more than they had in 1979, and the have-nots having so little, I think you need to really open up your mind and say, well, if Ahmed over there wants to give me $10,000 a month for the next 2 years until I carry out some plot for him, that's $10,000 a month. That's $120,000 a year. That's $240,000. I don't have to worry about money anymore. I can pay all my bills, fill that gas tank up for the first time in 8 years. You'd be surprised what people will do when they're desperate or when they're perceived desperate. So anyway, looking at this, I was just reading it, and those kind of thoughts hit my head because, what can I say? I'm me. I kind of think that way. It could be a detriment. It could be, something wrong with me. Absolutely. But that's what it is. So, okay. Here's the fat Italian guy with his union rep, and he's going to pop by the NTSB on Wednesday maybe and say hi to the boys and girls. And, doesn't seem to be taking it too seriously. Trying to put it all together. His rep said on his behalf, trying to put it all together. Well, damn, let's be him for a minute. Try and put yourself in his little shoes. You killed 4 people. You've got dozens more in the hospital. All kinds of ramifications are coming from this, and you have no idea what that's going to do to you personally, because I can see a lot of personal lawsuits coming from this. Yes, I can. So, you know, he's probably trying to put together, figuring out the rest of his life, not really putting together, you know, that he fell asleep or didn't because he applied the brake 6 seconds before. Who knows? See, the facts don't add up in this story, and that makes me question it. So that's why, you know, my little brain, being what it is, kind of went on the terrorism thing. Well, shit. You know, why are these they're not stupid. Why are they going to come all the way over from Syria or Jordan or Iran or Iraq or Afghanistan or any of these bloody places? Just get on the phone. Get on Skype. Call up some guy in the States. You know he's hard up for money. How hard can it be? I don't know. You got to understand, gang. I'm just speculating here, but this is a possibility. So then I thought, well, you know what? Let's be credible for our crash talkers here, and let's go look at some history from CNN. So I went and checked out State of the Union yesterday. Yes, this is very interesting. Yes, very interesting indeed, my little children. On Sunday's CNN State of the Union show, anchor Candy Crowley asked Senator Dianne Feinstein, a Democrat from California, and also the head of the Senate Intelligence Committee and her counterpart in the White House, Republican Mike Rogers from Michigan, a simple question. She says, are we safer now than we were a year ago, 2 years ago, or since 9/11? Feinstein's answer was unambiguous. I don't think so, she said. I think terror is up worldwide. Statistics indicate that. The fatalities are way up also, and there are more groups than ever, and there is huge malevolence out there. Crowley seems surprised with this response. She says, I have to say that it is not the answer I expected. I expected to hear, oh, we're safer. Well, Rogers backed up Feinstein's gloomy assessment, saying, oh, I absolutely agree that we're not safer today. Both Feinstein and Rogers are able public servants who, as heads of the two U.S. intelligence oversight committees, are paid to worry about the collective safety of all Americans. And they are two of the most prominent defenders of the NSA's controversial surveillance programs, which they defend as necessary for American security. So you remember all those drones that you know, that got watching all of us? And you remember all the email monitoring, and you remember all the phone and intelligence gathering, and all under the guise of Homeland Security. And, well, if you ain't got nothing to worry about if you're not a terrorist. Wasn't that what Bush said? Yeah. Okay, so, interesting. But is there any real reason to think that Americans are no safer than they were in the case of a couple of years back? Well, not according to a study by the New America Foundation. Of every militant locked in the United States, every militant indicted, in the United States who is affiliated with Al-Qaeda or a like-minded group or is motivated by Al-Qaeda's ideology. In fact, the total number of such indicated extremists has declined substantially from 33 in 2010 to 9 in 2003. Yeah. The number of individuals indicted for plotting attacks within the United States as opposed to being indicted for traveling to join a terrorist group overseas or for sending money to a foreign terrorist group has also declined from 12 in 2011 to only 3 this year in 2013. Of course, a declining number of indictments doesn't mean that the militant threat has disappeared. One of the militants indicted in 2013 was Dakozar Saranev. Yes, I'm quite sure that's how it's pronounced, too. Who is one of the brothers alleged to be responsible for the Boston Marathon bombings in April. But sharply declining number of indictments does suggest that fewer and fewer militants are targeting the United States. Recent attack plots in the United States also do not show signs of direction from foreign terrorist organizations such as Al-Qaeda, but instead are conducted by individuals who are influenced by the ideology of violent jihad, usually because of what they read or watch on the internet. None of the 21 homegrown extremists known to have been involved in plots against the United States between 2011 and 2013 received training abroad from a terrorist organization. The kind of training that can turn an angry young man into a deadly, well-trained angry young man. Of these extremists, only Tamarian Saranev, one of the alleged Boston bombers, is known to have any contact whatsoever with militants overseas, but it is unclear to what extent, if any, these contacts played in the Boston Marathon bombings. Right, because I'm betting you dollars to donuts, that bombing would have been a hell of a lot bigger if Al-Qaeda was involved, right? Think about it. Of course it would have been. A couple of garbage cans. So where Feinstein and Rogers were on a much firmer ground in their interview with Crowley when they were quick to point out the resurgence of a number of Al-Qaeda groups in the Middle East. Al-Qaeda affiliates in Syria control much of the north of the country and are the most effective forces fighting the regime of Bashar al-Assad. You like how I do that? Huh? Bashar al-Assad. Yes, me too. That's pretty cool. Anyway, in neighboring Iraq, Al-Qaeda has enjoyed a renaissance as of late, which partly accounts for the fact that violence in Iraq today is as bad as it was in 2008. The Syrian war is certainly almost also a magnet for militants from across the Muslim world, including hundreds from Europe, and the European governments are rightly concerned that returning veterans of the Syrian conflict could increase terrorism in Europe. But at least for the moment, these al-Qaeda groups in Syria and Iraq are completely focused on overthrowing the Assad regime or attacking what they regard as the Shia-dominated government of Iraq. And at least so far, these groups have shown no ability to attack in Europe, let alone the United States. So, okay. So there you go. That's State of the Union right there from CNN. You got it live. Yes? You don't get that from Crash Talk too often. Credible news sources live? No, you don't. So that's what we got. And you see, when I read that too, I was kind of thinking, well, geez, wait a minute. Wait a second here. That guy on the subway. Okay. He's not sleeping. No, don't you tell me that. He's not sleeping, damn you. So that's kind of that. That's kind of that. Syria. And we've heard what in the news for the last 6-8 months. Syria's the new bad guy. We got to go kick Syria's ass. I've heard countless servicemen, current active servicemen, saying, "Well, shit, next time I go, it's not going to be Afghanistan. Now it's going to be Syria." On after his 7th tour of Afghanistan, it really makes you kind of ask the question, what are we doing in all these other countries? If we get plowed in the ass so hard as we did on September of 2001 in New York City, that should have sent a message. But here's the message that we that we actually got here. Check this out. The North American bunker that is run by the U.S. military that is basically charged with protecting the eastern end of this continent. These guys, there's been a number of documentaries done on 9/11 from every possible angle you can imagine, and I've seen them all. And when you have real-life military personnel sitting at their posts at these monitoring stations, and they're getting called in from aircraft control towers saying, yeah, we've got this plane hijacked, this plane's hijacked, this one's hijacked, oh, that one just flew into the building in New York City, oh, these 2 others are hijacked, some of them are heading to New York City, some of them are heading to the White House, and some of them are heading to the Pentagon. The chick on the phone at the response center, and I quote, "Oh, cool. This is real world. Hey, Patty." End quote. Okay. You've just been informed that you have a real-world scenario happening right now. You're supposed to go on high alert. You're supposed to mobilize the Air Force. You're supposed to mobilize the military all across the board. You're supposed to get boats in the water and planes in the air and boots on the ground. They did nothing. Now, how much money were we paying back then to keep that bunker going? And all of its 483 personnel employed at this place where, oh, cool. It's kind of like, what's it like? No, it's exactly like going on the internet to some, a favorite chat room you have, let's say you like going on IRC or something and talking to Lithuanian, leather wearers or something. And, it's like you telling the Lithuanian leather wearers in the chat room that, hey, I've got this real world problem here. There's 6 missiles coming in on your country in Germany there. And having them, reply with, oh, cool. What? It's these men and women's jobs to protect us. It's these men and women's jobs to protect the sovereignty and the integrity of this country. And when they get informed of an actual real world scenario that is happening right now, the last response should be, oh, cool. Hey, Patty. I'm sorry. It just should be. It should be, get me the president and get me the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And that would have been a request yesterday, people. That's the kind of response you'd expect. And yes, that is the kind of response you see in the movies. Yes, because when we glorify the U.S. military in the movies, they're so goddamn efficient and they're on their shit and they know what's going down and they hit that bad guy before they know what's coming, right? Isn't that what we pay the billions of dollars for a year in special weapons research? Absolutely. We can hit them now before they even see us. Well, what good is all that if your response team is just going, oh, that's cool. Hey, Bob, pass me a joint. And I'm not saying she was on drugs. I'm saying that's the kind of nonchalant attitude when something serious is being called in by multiple sources, which means you have a confirmed threat, just in case you're tuning in. What? Yeah, it just makes no sense. But we're going to go for a quickie commercial break here, just in and out. And we'll be back in a couple of minutes, and we'll get into segment 2. More information that I found that definitely directly pertains to this and that really gives you cause to ask more questions. We'll be right back, guys.
The Chevy Cruze offers an EPA estimated 36 mpg highway. That's crazy.
Crazy efficient.
10 standard airbags.
And you get StabiliTrak with traction control.
That is like crazy protection. This interior is
insane.
It is insane. I was going to say crazy again.
Visit your local Chevy dealer today. Right now, get this great lease on a 2013 Chevy Cruze LS for around $149 a month.
4th down, Coach. What do we do?
I'll tell you what we do. I want you to go on the field, look for anyone with an O. Let's kill them with kindness. Jimmy, I want you to make balloon animals. Tyler, make little tea cozies, something fun.
Are you okay?
We will win this for Mother Russia!
Coach, eat a Snickers.
Why is that, Chief?
You get a little loopy when you're hungry. Better.
Now let's go for it!
Go get him, guys!
You're not you when you're hungry. Snickers satisfies.
When you have cable and your picture freezes, you get irritable. When you get irritable, your work suffers. When your work suffers, the wrong man is convicted. When the wrong man is convicted, he has time to think. When he has time to think, he thinks about you a lot. And when he thinks about you a lot, your house explodes. Don't have your house explode. Get rid of cable and upgrade to DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
Hey, look at that new Toyota.
Look at that new Toyota.
Before you look at Honda Civic, you better look at this new Toyota Corolla. Now, you can get a 2013 Corolla with 0% financing. Or lease this Corolla LE for just $179 a month.
Look at that new Toyota.
Toyota. Let's go places.
HTLA Radio 1.
Powered by Procast.
Yes, we're back, and yes, we are indeed powered by Procast. You are tuned to Crash Talk on HTLA Radio 1, New York City. It is 50 degrees in the old Central Park right now. Yes, it's a nice day. Yeah, it's cloudy and going to be raining soon, but hey, at least it's not 7 more feet of snow. Yeah, because snow is good. No, snow is bad, okay? Anywho, you're joining us on the second segment, Crash Talk Safe from Terror. And we're talking about terrorism today and all the billions and billions and billions of dollars that have been spent since September of 2001 Yes, the World Trade Center incident. And, we're just looking at, after all that money's been spent, simple questions. Are we safer than we were then or not? And from the majority of what I'm finding, I don't believe we are in any way, shape, or form. And near the end of the show, I have actually a scenario I'm going to take you through. And you're going to see just how vulnerable we are. Because the bottom line is, you can't defend yourself from intent. You can't. You absolutely can't. Stop and think about it. If you're a terrorist and you're going to go blow up something, how do you pick the day? How do you pick the time? Let's say you pick November 27th because it's the morning of Allah or the celebration of Allah's balls or something. Okay? Maybe not even to do with Allah, because there is terrorism without Allah. Oh, yes, there is, people. Make no mistake. The IRA comes to mind right off the top of me head. And yes, I'm Irish. But I was all behind them because they needed to get the bloody British out of there. But then what do I know? I'm just a drunk Irishman. But anyway, getting back to the show. It's not always Allah, but, how do these guys pick what day they're going to do something? And when they do something, how do they decide what they're going to do? Yeah. What do we want? Do we want to inflict the most casualties? Do they ever ask themselves the question, well, geez, I'm a blank terrorist. We'll just leave the religious affiliation, if any, out. We'll just make you a generic terrorist and sit there and think to yourself, well, I could blow up a mall with a lot of people in it, Christmas shopping. Yes, the evil infidels are Christmas shopping. Or I could get a rifle and go up to a bell tower and see how many I could bring down before they got me. Or, one of the all-time favorites that the Americans like to do is go into schools with guns. That's always fun. What am I going to do? How do you decide what you're actually going to do in the name of, your God or the cause or whatever that may be to you? How do you figure that out? Well, we're going to have that conversation after these next little segments. And these next little segments, you might think they're unrelated, but I'm going to tie them in for you. All right, so just bear with me. Lindsay Lohan. Yes, I went there. Lindsay Lohan.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Oh, we do. Yes, we do, because that's a distraction. Isn't that right, kids? Yes, and we like distractions because when we're not looking at distractions, what are we doing? We're focusing on, holy shit, we've spent $500 billion and we're still not safe from terrorists. No. So, Lindsay Lohan allegedly plans to sue Rockstar Games for Grand Theft Auto 5. Yes, apparently the game sports a likeness of her on the front cover. Lohan's lawyers are reportedly preparing to file a lawsuit against Rockstar Games for the unauthorized use of the bad girl celeb's likeness in Grand Theft Auto 5. Please keep in mind that this is according to TMZ. Yes, you know it, my favorite news source. The allegations seem to stem from three specific unrelated elements in the game: a bikini-clad woman holding a cell phone on the game's cover, a random event mission in which you help Los Santos celebutard Lacey Jonas get back home while avoiding the paparazzi, and a pair of Strangers and Freaks missions involving Poppy Mitchell, a returning character from Grand Theft Auto, the Ballad of the Big Gay Tony, in which you must snap photos of another local celebrity having sex in the Los Santos take on Chateau Marmont, where Lohan, of course, used to live. Then later chasing her as she flees from police while driving drunk. Seems pretty standard for that game to me. There's been no official word on Lohan's alleged plans to file a lawsuit, and our request for comment from Rockstar was greeted with silence. Because they don't like me. Bastards. Not even clear if the examples cited above are specifically targeted in the as-yet unfiled lawsuit, or if they're simply being held up as a speculation on TMZ's part. I prefer to think of the latter. I'm going to go on record right now on the air live and say that TMZ should be renamed to Speculation News. Oh, yes. Rockstar boss and GTA writer Dan Houser was publicly stated in the past that GTA 5 skipped completely using real-world celebrities in the game for a range of reasons. Perhaps Lohan is trying to build a case that she's got a monopoly on ridiculous celebrity behavior, and so all examples in the game of famous young women doing terrible things all fall into her wheelhouse. More likely, there's some specific instance or set of instances that Lohan's legal counsel intends to zero in on. From a non-lawyer's lay perspective, it seems to me like those will be tough allegations to prove, given that, of course, there's no character in the game bearing Lohan's name. There's no behavior or talk that specifically references her or any of her past antics. And hey, while TMZ does tend to have solid sources that give accurate news... Oh, excuse me. It's also possible that this report is either untrue or lacking some important context. Whatever the reality is, we'll hear about it soon enough if any kind of legal action is to move forward. So there you have it. Yep. Distraction number 1. Here's distraction number 2. Oregon girl told she can't sell mistletoe, but can beg for money. Yes, you've heard it correct here, folks. An 11-year-old girl from Portland, Oregon has been told that she can't sell mistletoe to help defray the cost of braces. Oh, the poor little girl needs braces. But she can beg for the money on city streets. Now, this isn't from TMZ. Oddly enough, this is according to KATU-TV. Madison Root and her father were selling bags of hand-cut, hand-wrapped Christmas favorites Saturday morning next to the Skidmore Foundation in downtown Portland. This is where the city holds a weekly market. Everything was going well until a security guard told her that she had to stop selling due to a city ordinance that bans such activity in a park, except as expressly permitted under the terms of the lease, a concession permit. The guard then told Madison that she could sell her mistletoe outside the boundaries of the park where the fountain and the market are located, away from the crowds, or she could simply ask for donations to cover the cost of her braces. Seems all nice enough to me. How about you? I think it's all right. She says, "I don't want to beg. I would rather work for something than beg," Madison told KATU reporter Dan Casuto. "It's crazy. People can get money for pot, but I can't get money for braces. I'm working for this. They're just sitting down on their butts all day long asking for pot." Yeah. A Portland Parks Bureau spokesman told the station that the beginning a form of free speech that is protected by the First Amendment. Begging, rather. Yes, begging is free speech. Let's go back to 1776 for a minute, gang. Let's rewind. Ah, yes, our forefathers have given us the First Amendment, freedom of speech. What say you all? Hear, hear! Well, that one's passed. Let's fast forward. Right back to today in 2013 on Crash Talk, HTLA Radio 1. Okay. Begging is a form of free speech that is protected by the First Amendment. If this is true, we need to burn that paper and rewrite it again, because I don't think our forefathers back in 1776 thought that was what it meant. I don't think our forefathers in 1776 thought, hey, what about the beggars on the streets? We can't forget them. We got to put them in here too. No. Now, you know what? That's not part of the First Amendment. It's not part of free speech. And guess what? Here's the dealio. One market vendor told the station that she wished an exception to the ordinance could be made for children. Yeah, yes, because Cindy needs braces. They should have a caveat for children trying to create options for commerce, especially this time of year. Sharon Steen, who sells ceramic bowls at the market, told KATU, "We encourage it. We want them to grow up to be entrepreneurs." Yes, we do, but you know what? Put this in your pipe, Sharon, and smoke it. You are never going to have a future generation of entrepreneurs because our education sucks major ass. In fact, I can go you one step further, because I actually have the recent, yes, the recent, as in a month ago, statistics on just how good our students are doing in school on the world scale. Now, this is kind of interesting here. Okay, so just bear with me for a second. Now, keep in mind, these are two distraction stories I'm telling you about, specifically pertaining to Are You Safe from Terror? Because you need to be distracted. So here we go. The United States made scant headway on a recent global achievement exams and slipped deeper in the international rankings amid fast-growing competition abroad, according to test results released Tuesday. Now, this is really interesting, gang, because I think it was, 3 days ago on my Facebook, I posted a picture of a bunch of Malaysian kids in their classroom. There were 7 of them, and their teacher was standing in front of them at the blackboard, and they were learning. They were pretty much standing in 3.5, maybe 4 feet of water because it's monsoon season over there, and that's just what they do. So here's this classroom, this picture of these kids in this classroom in the middle of class getting taught up to their armpits in dirty water. And I posted this picture because the article that was attached to it was very poignant in that, these kids have the attitude that learning is more important than being wet. Do you know what I got back from the majority, a good cross-section of the American public on my Facebook commenting on that? I got, oh my God, that's disgusting. Oh, they can't do that. They're going to get disease. Oh yeah, malaria is what I was thinking. Well, see that might be part of the problem too. Okay, but anyways, American teens scored below the international average in math and roughly average in science and reading compared against dozens of other countries that participated in the 2013 program for international student assessment, which was administered this fall. Vietnam, which had its students take part in the exam for the first time, had higher average scores in math, science, and reading than the United States. Students in Shanghai, China's largest city with upwards of 20 million people in it, ranked the best in the world according to the test results. Students in East Asian countries and provinces came out on top, nabbing 7 of the top 10 places across the board in all subjects. U.S. Education Secretary Arnie Duncan characterized the flat scores as he says, picture of educational stagnation. Yes, it's Judgment Day for education, people. He says we must invest in early education, raise academic standards, make college affordable, and do more to recruit and retain top-notch educators. Yeah. 500,000 students in 65 nations participated in this, and in the end, of placing in 34 total placements overall in ranking, the United States ranked 29th out of 34 overall. So, greatest country in the world. One of the, you could almost say, economically speaking, we're looking at a third world country ourselves here, thanks to our economy now. Education is absolutely in the toilet. And, we're worried about the Oregon girl who can't, sell her mistletoe. Well, see, here's the thing. It's all about due diligence. It's all about, gee, Dad, I'd like to sell mistletoe and save up some money for my braces because you're at home drinking all day and you don't have a job. Oh, Susie, that's a good idea. Hand me that beer over there, and I'll get a bag, and we'll get some together, and we'll get out there tomorrow, and we'll just sell it. We'll kick ass. We'll own it, baby. So she gets them a beer and a bag, and they bag their stuff up, and they just go out there on Friday, and they just sell it. They're just selling it. And then they're pissed when the security guy comes along and goes, yeah, you guys need a permit for that. Well, I did a little research, and the permit in Portland for doing exactly what she is doing for one day is $10. So rather than just, call down ahead and say, hey, do I have to have a license or anything just to sell my mistletoe? Or should I hang it above my ass and have you... No, sorry. but that's what I'm saying. I mean, call out, $10? Oh, shit. Well, Dad, do you have $10 so I can go sell mistletoe? Screw off, I'm drinking beer. That's what that would be too, right? But we wouldn't do a news story on that. This is better. This is better news. I read this and I'm like, who the hell wasted their time at KATU to even cover this? The chick should have gone and got a $10 permit. Really? Yeah. But that's okay, because this is news, and this is designed to keep us occupied while the terrorists make their move. So there we go. We've gone through the education. We've gone through this, that, and the next thing. Let's talk about foreign policy. Yeah, just quick. I'm not going to bore you too long here. Foreign policy. That's basically, for you folks at home that don't have a clue about foreign policy, it's basically, how we're interpreted on the world stage. Are we the nice guys? Are we the assholes? Are we the police force for everybody? What are we in the USA? Huh? Well, our foreign policy determines what we are to all these other countries. Interesting little story. World War II, Japanese mega submarine discovered off Hawaii. Ooh. So here I am reading their story on this. A Japanese submarine that was lost at sea after it was intentionally scuttled by the U.S. Navy during World War II has been located by a team of explorers off the coast of Hawaii. Yes! A spokesman for the University of Hawaii at Manoa said at a press release, the discovery of the Imperial Japanese Navy's mega submarine is the I-400. It solves the decades-old mystery of where the submarine lay on the ocean floor. The I-400 was one of the Sentoku-class submarines, which were the largest submarines ever built until nuclear-powered subs were invented. It is 400 feet long and could travel 1.5 times around the world without refueling. That's pretty advanced tech for good old World War II, I'd say. The I-400 has been on our to-find list for some time, said veteran undersea explorer Terry Kirby, who led the expedition that found the submarine. It was the first of its kind and only one of 3 built. So it's a very unique and historic submarine, he said. He said finding the submarine where they did was totally unexpected because they had expected to be further out to sea. It was a thrill when the view of the giant submarine appeared out of the darkness, Kirby said. The U.S. Navy captured the I-400 and 4 other Japanese submarines during and at the end of the war and brought them to Pearl Harbor to inspect them. But in 1946, here we go with the foreign policy thing, guys. In 1946, the Soviet Union demanded access to the submarines under the terms of the treaty that ended the war. Okay, so the Soviets played nice with the Americans at the end of World War II to ultimately crush Hitler and just end the war. Well, apparently, part of that agreement or that treaty to end that war and create that alliance was that they would get to inspect, any enemy hardware that was captured, including these Japanese submarines. They fell under the course of it because the Japanese were involved in the Second World War, so there you go. Well, instead of allowing the Soviets to access the submarines and their advanced technology, what did we, the USA, do? We sunk them, and we claimed to have no information about where they were, what was on board, or any other information at all about 4 out of the 5 submarines, including, of course, the I-400. The I-400 was discovered in August, and its discovery was announced Tuesday after the NOAA team reviewed the discovery with government officials in U.S. and Japan. Again, not the Russians. So you see, there's an example, going way back, of where we signed an agreement, a treaty. Yes, we need your help crushing Hitler and ending the war and yada, 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 and Chechnya and Chernobyl and all that good stuff. Let's drink to it. But then when it comes to honoring our end of the agreement, what do? Well, we start the underhanded shit again. Well, what are we doing that for? We're supposed to be the good guys, the Americans, the red, white, and blue. We're it. What the heck are you doing? Give me a break here. Give me some help. What's going on? Yeah. So is it any wonder why these countries don't trust us? Don't sit here and think I'm an Al-Qaeda sympathizer. Because I'm not. I could care less about them. In fact, I'm pretty much against them because they can't even follow their own religion. You know, at least when the Roman Catholics were going around killing everybody, it was written. You know, unfortunately in Islam there, the great Allah isn't going and telling you to raise your sons and strap bomb vests on them and go blow shit up. That's not what it's all about. So I'm not going there, but I'm going somewhere, and it's probably straight to hell. But we're going to go for another quick break, and when we come back, I'm going to wrap this all up together for you and bring you right back to square one with the New York train crash and terrorism and all that good stuff. So stand by and don't go anywhere.
With 160 more miles per tank, the distances aren't getting shorter. The trucks are going farther. The new 2013 Ram 1500. With the best-in-class fuel economy, engineered to move heaven and earth. Guts, glory, Ram.
At LG, we dreamed of a day when you could rely on the perfect kitchen. We dreamed of a day when a dishwasher wouldn't require any pre-rinsing. When a refrigerator could be uniquely designed for better access and storage. When a washer could save 20 minutes on larger loads. And an oven would take minutes to clean instead of hours. And for you, that day is now.
The world is facing one of the biggest crises in the history of history. Girls are getting hotter and hotter. This is causing guys to lose their cool. It's happening everywhere. That's why the people at Axe have developed the new Axe Chill collection. It helps guys keep their cool before it's too late. Girls are getting hotter. Keep your cool with the new Chill collection from Axe.
Have I got a treat for you? New clean whipped cream foundation from CoverGirl. A delicious new recipe whipped up by Clean Makeup. They took their clean, fresh foundation, added a dash of hydration, then whipped it to smooth, matte perfection. Finally, a non-drying whip that wears like a dream. What a treat from Clean. New clean whipped cream from easy, breezy, beautiful CoverGirl.
We are HTLA Radio 1. You will lower your shields and prepare to be boarded. We will add your distinctiveness, your advertisers, and your sponsors to our own. Resistance is futile.
It's an anomaly. Q. Yeah, sorry. That was my Patrick Stewart impression. Yes, Nancy. Anywho, you are listening to Crash Talk, Safe from Terror on HTLA Radio 1 New York. Still hanging out at 50 degrees in Central Park tonight. Still no rain, just a little cloud. So it's kind of sexy and romantic out there. If you got some significant others, I wouldn't be sitting here listening to me. No. And if you're going to stay here listening to me, I'll go get your significant others and we'll be at the park. Anywho, that was funny, production crew. Thank you.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah, okay. All right. That's good. Now, getting back to the show. I'm going to tie this all in for you now together and probably scare the living pants off you because what I'm about to say, if I don't blow my mic up, what I'm about to say is likely going to scare the hell out of you. This, I think in my whole career on radio, this is probably, I would say, my War of the Worlds moment. Yeah. If there was going to be another War of the Worlds moment, this is definitely mine for my career so far. So, you've heard me talk about the train crash and the supposed zoning out. You've heard me talk about Al-Qaeda and Syria and the current elevations of threats across the board, directly from CNN and the CIA and the NSA. Hey. You've heard me talk about the girl in Oregon who doesn't think it's cool to just go get a bloody permit and sell her stuff and get her braces. You've heard me tell you about Lindsay Lohan and all that good distraction stuff. And you've heard me tell you about the educational levels in this country as compared to the global scale, where we're actually at, where we've been at for decades. The education in this country has been horrid for a good 25 years that I can think of, and I'm only 46 years old. And then we've seen the way that we treat other countries with treaties, you know, and mark my words, this Japanese sub situation was not an isolated incident. This is cost of doing business, gang. This goes on every day at those high echelon government levels. So, what does it all mean? I'm going to put it together for you. And scare the absolute piss out of you. Because, as you know, if you're a Crash Talk listener, I am Canadian. Yes, land of the moose and the igloos and all that good stuff. Actually, that's all BS. Pretty much the vast majority of Canada is just like the USA. We drive Chevys. You know, same deal. It's pretty much the same, except we have to tolerate the French Canadian. Yes, the French Canadian, huh? But here's the bottom line. I will tell you that back in 2006, right before I was going off to work the oil fields up north in Northwest Territories there, I was hanging out on the beach one day with my buddy Todd. Yeah, everybody's got a buddy Todd, don't they? Mm-hmm. Well, there I was hanging out with Todd. We were sitting there drinking a couple of coffees from Tim Hortons Donuts. Oh, yes. Yeah, I've got to get the Tim Hortons commercials going, damn it. So we're sitting there one afternoon having coffee, discussing world events. And, you know, this was a couple of years after 9/11, of course, and it still, you know, sticks forefront in our minds. And, you know, we're west coast of Canada, so we're about as far away from you can get as you can get from everything that happened in North America. We're about the farthest away, except Mexico, and they don't care. So, you know, there we are. A couple of good old Canadian boys having our Tim Hortons coffee and just talking about the world around us. And in front of us, moored out in the ocean, was CVN 72, which was the USS Abraham Lincoln to you American folk. Yes, all 1,092 feet of her, 100,000 tons unloaded, 2 nuclear reactors for engines. There she was sitting out in our harbor and off the coast of Victoria there, because they were up for shore leave or something. They'd just finished a 9-month tour or something with the 7th Fleet or what have you, and we're coming in for a little shore leave, so come over and hit the Canadian girls up, because they're ready, willing, and able. Well, the ship was there for 3 days. Widely publicized. It was on the national Canadian news. All the local stations picked it up. Seattle was all over it because, of course, they've got the little Navy boats down there at their Navy base near Seattle, and it's just a Navy kind of place, you know. So there it is. It's sitting there in the harbor. Well, it's probably about 5,000 or 6,000 feet away from us on the beach. And we're just sitting there. It's a nice day. It's a sunny day. Not a cloud in the sky. You know, it was summertime. Mm-hmm. And we've been out there drinking our coffee and looking at the carrier. And here's some interesting facts about the carrier. She carries a crew of 3,200. She carries an additional 2,480 air wing troops. Right. Okay. So we're sitting there. And as we're drinking our coffee and talking about stuff and talking about the aircraft carrier and talking about 9/11 and talking about terrorists and talking about all that stuff, in the midst of that conversation, around the point, out near Ogden Point there, out there around the bend comes, what came? The Grand Princess. Yes, a cruise ship from the cruise, what is it? Princess Cruise Lines. That's it. Yes, the Love Boat. The Love Boat comes around the bend, and she's slowly cresting and heading towards, what would be going right past the Abraham Lincoln where she was moored, going right into the inner harbor to moor. And, you know, there's quite quite a cruise ship business goes on in Victoria. So here's some specs on that ship. 949 feet in length, 107,000 tons unloaded, 1,150 crew, 5,200 passengers near capacity. So let's do some math here. I got 5,680 men and women, U.S. military men and women, on a big U.S. military aircraft carrier that, I might add, has impeccable security and phalanx systems and all kinds of things for any possible threats. But did you know that they're really only kind of invincible when they're out with the rest of the fleet, all the other support ships, all the other, radar intercepting, meat-seeking Heasels or whatever you have there. They can project air power. That's really their strength on an aircraft carrier, but they're really kind of dependent on everybody else in the fleet for protection, except for things like the phalanx and that kind of thing. Okay, great. So you've got this USS Abraham Lincoln, and you've got the Grand Princess. Now, here's the important thing to remember. We're just two Canadian yahoos sitting on the beach drinking coffee, yakking. We're just talking. Okay? So there we are. We're talking. And the boat's coming in. I'm like, hey, Todd. With all this terrorism stuff going on, I said, how many armed gunmen would you think it would need to take over the aircraft carrier? So we talked about that for a while as the Princess cruise liner was coming in. And, he was like, well, you'd need 300 to just take the bridge because, you've got all the Marines to deal with, and you'd need another 600 to take the engine room because you got to kill a lot of people to get down to the engine room and take them over. So we're going through this scenario in our heads, completely, ignorant and oblivious of actual security protocols and procedures. But, of course, now we know none of them would be followed, would they? It would be like, oh, cool, there's armed guys on our boat now. That's, yeah. If you missed the start of the show, go back, because then you'll get that point. But, so we're just, hypothesizing. And then we're sitting there looking at the cruise ship, and I was like, hey, Todd, how many armed guys would it take to take over the cruise ship? Wow. That'd be pretty easy, 4 or 5 guys, some automatic weapons, a couple of sidearms, some incendiary, smoke, grenade, that kind of stuff. 5 guys could be able to take it over, no problem. Aha! I found the weakness, infidels. Yes. Because what does Crash do in his brain? He's like, well, hey, if I was a terrorist and I wanted to inflict, get this, 12,030 fatalities on 2 exploding ships, killing 12,000 people in one move, this is a perfect way to do it. I just, before the cruise ship came in, when the pilot gets on there to pilot it into the port or whatever, have your 5 armed guys get on there then. Boom. Take over the cruise ship, run the cruise ship full speed, which is 30 knots, I believe, on that boat. 30 knots into the side of the USS Abraham Lincoln. And what do you got? Just ask yourself what you've got right there. I'll give you a minute. I'm smoking. That's long enough. I'll tell you what you've got. You've got an attack on the United States that is 6 times the death toll of 9/11, carried out by 5 dudes, thought up by a couple of Canadian idiots sitting on a beach on the West Coast. Okay, so now we go back to the whole beginning of this show. The billions of dollars we spend on anti-terrorism and counterterrorism and monitoring everything that everybody does in this country 24/7 with full legal authority because they can. And a couple of idiots from Canada just figured that out. What a blow would that be to America? Because now we're not just hitting a couple of buildings with a bunch of businesses in it and hitting the capitalism of America. No. No, we're taking out a serious asset in the military. 5 guys. Yeah. Yeah, if that don't breed a moment of silence there, America, I don't know what does. Now, you tell me, if a couple of idiots from Canada can sit there over coffee and figure this out, we're asked to believe that there are really terrorist organizations that are bent on the downfall of the United States, and the only thing that we have seen since 9/11 is a couple of garbage cans blow up in Boston? Don't believe the hype, I think, is the point, and sum and total of my entire show. I think that the American government has used nothing but fear with the Homeland Security to get whatever they wanted passed. I think they've used everything in their arsenal to best track the American, not the terrorist. If you look at the actual initiatives that they've gone and passed and the things that they've done, they're all about keeping us right where we should be. And then when you take into consideration the economy over the last 12-year span and how the people that have nothing are growing, the people that have everything have the latest projections I saw from an economist today were 12 times what they had in 1978. Yes, I'm talking about the 1%ers. 12 times what they had in 1978, and the middle class is disappearing. And the lower class is, well, now with the cut in food stamps, going to be dying. And, you know, you'll hear radio shows all over the internet from, you know, all these conspiracy theorists and whatnot. I don't categorize myself in that bracket, and I hope you don't either. Because my show, really, the whole point of my show is to really get you to think. And I think I've done that with this show today. So I'm going to leave you with that thought. And take us out, Bob. I want to thank everybody at HTLA, Radio 1 New York, for allowing me the lovely opportunity of Crash Talk. Special shout out to all my meeps, peeps, and otherwise. Christina Hook, Bud Hook, you know Hook you are. Check me out. I'm going to be on, I'm not going to be on till next Monday. Straight Talk with Kate and Crash. But check out Real Talk tomorrow night, right here, HTLA973.com, and get all your movie review fix. So, for me and all the rest of the HTLA, we're wishing you a happy week, and we'll catch you next time, gang.